Coming up on What Your Mama Didn't Tell Ya.
There's always it's at the door, but there's always the choice, right? It's literally standing right in your face, but it's always a choice. It's literally 2 feet away from you in kissing
Still can't
distance,
do nothing with you.
but it can't do nothing to you if you don't let it in, right? And we don't see that at times when you're in a situation and I don't know, you're at a bar and you're drinking or whatever, and that one other drink that's sitting right in front of you is a choice that you're making that could put you over the edge and put you in a situation where now you've lost control, and whatever happens as a result of that is really on you. Welcome to What Your Mama Didn't Tell Ya, where we keep it real, raw, and yes, a touch of everything's gonna get real right now with your favorite auntie Racheal. You know, there's wisdom in wisdom, right? In counsel, right? And sometimes we discount it in our current world because we feel like information has replaced counsel, right? And that guy had probably lived through some stuff to be able to say to Sammy, be careful when you go out there, it's going to come back with you. He wasn't saying that just based on his biblical teachings.
Yeah.
I believe he was also saying that based on what he had seen in life through his life and others prior to Sammy, right? So he saw this coming down the road through counsel. Sammy couldn't appreciate it. And this is one of those scenarios where you can take my word for it, or you can go figure it out and hope that it doesn't go really, really left. In his case, it went really, really left. And then you have another opportunity and you still don't take that opportunity. And at the end, you're still saying, I haven't been happier since.
Yeah.
Right? So that's really where counsel butts up against information and trying to just say, you know what, I'm going to go have the experience anyway.
Yeah.
And figure out whether or not the experience was worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be very costly.
I feel like that's the life that a lot of people live. It's the life of somebody like Sammy. They go back to what the world seems like is like, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like, oh, like this is what you should do. This is where you're going to find the most success.
Right. And happiness.
Yeah. Sammy was touring, playing all kind of places. He was still a great musician.
Right.
So it's like, people, like, this is a real thing. People die like Sammy.
Right.
Like old like Sammy. People, like, it happens.
Right.
And, they are revisited by their past
Mm-hmm.
and the bad things in their past. And sometimes that can be the end of them. And I do think that it's a morally straighter thing than maybe the twins are.
Mm.
But I think it's even interesting that the guitar was their father's.
Yeah.
And it was buried.
I know. That was huge.
Was interesting because they killed their father.
Yeah.
Who buried his guitar.
Yeah.
So it goes to show how much of sinners they are, because they may have killed a man who was actually trying to walk morally upright, or was somewhere on his journey.
Nah, they say he was evil.
No, I know he was evil, but I'm saying like he was a person who was evolving.
Right.
So
everybody's evolving.
Right. But I think it's interesting to understand that, like, despite the fact that he was beating on the brother or whatever, living the kind of life that maybe he was taught to live.
Right.
It's interesting to know that, like,
that
could be the same life that Sammy lives.
Yeah.
Maybe he beat his kids. Maybe his kids are gonna want to kill him after he buries his guitar.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the cycle continues.
Right.
Yeah. So it makes it a good movie. There's a lot of things you could talk about it.
Yeah.
A lot of things you could theorize about it.
Every clip, every scene had so many layers, which I thought was just amazing. And, as a Christian, you got to choose to let stuff in. It is a choice. Right? And we oftentimes lose sight of the fact that it is a choice.
That we have choice.
Right? And that's what I think was most important, was when they realized that, oh, this isn't just something where I have no control, right?
They need me to let them in.
Because
if I don't let them in,
they can't, right? Yeah. And I think that was actually one of the huge themes in that.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Was that there's always it's at the door, but there's always the choice, right? It's literally standing right in your face, but it's always a choice. It's literally 2 feet away from you in kissing distance.
Still can't do nothing with you.
But it can't do nothing to you if you don't let it in, right? And we don't see that at times when you're in a situation and I don't know, you're at a bar and you're drinking or whatever, and that one other drink that's sitting right in front of you is a choice that you're making that could put you over the edge and put you in a situation where now you've lost control, and whatever happens as a result of that is really on you, because you had the choice at that point to say, you know what, I think I'm already at my limit, right? And if I do one more, I'm going to put myself over, and I know it, but it looks good. It's right there. What could the harm be?
Yeah.
I got my people with me, and stuff could still go very left. Like, we know situations where people did that, right? And next thing you know, stuff went left, right? That choice, that was so poignant to me, because I was just like, every single form of the one where it was a love connection between her and her husband, right? Where she had this great tie to him. This is her partner, her life partner, right? But it was still, she then had to choose, and that was a very hard choice for her to make because of the emotional connection.
Yeah.
Right? The other one was because the guy was just such a lovable guy.
Mhm.
Nobody could see him doing bad things.
Yeah.
There were all these very beautiful options that were bad choices
Yeah.
that you had to choose to his brother, right? And that twin connection.
Yeah.
Every single one was a hard to say no to choice
Yeah.
that had to be made every single time, over and over again in succession.
Yeah. And while we were watching it, it was like, you feel like the right decision is so obvious. It's like, obviously, no, don't let them in. Obviously, they're vampires.
But
then
there's more to
But
it.
yeah, but when you think about it, and
Right.
like you think about how like jaded their actual experience is because of like, even like with Smoke and Stack, like when he was in the thing and he came back alive, and he was like, "Come on, like that's your brother. Like I know everything about you." And he was
Right.
saying everything, saying all the stuff that they've been
Yeah.
through, and then it's just
That's like me being at the door and y'all inside.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm your mom. Like,
Yeah.
I gave, I was saying the other day, I gave birth to you. You were here from when I was little. And if
Yeah.
I'm saying all that stuff to you, you know the obvious choice.
Yeah.
But it's not so easy anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And it's it's not the right choice. Right?
Yeah.
And your mom can lead you astray in certain situations, and have
Yeah.
in certain mom-children situations, right? At which point, it is on the mom if she's older, obviously, but it's still a choice, and the more you understand and lock into how beautiful choices can be that are bad choices, emotionally tugging on you choices, like heartstring choices, right? Then you appreciate that, man, this thing ain't easy. You got to go by what you know is right or wrong. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult to do it. In fact, that's what I think sometimes about the Christian walk, is people think when I say I'm going to be a Christian, that means I'm walking on this pristine road where
Right.
everything is beautiful.
Right.
It's not.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you think of Jesus and you really relate to that, then that's not what happened with him, right?
Yeah.
But we romanticize what Christianity is in our heads and think that is a walk that should just be, because I believe in God, everything should just happen as planned and I can make whatever choices and there will be no impact.
Right.
But that's not the case, right? And so for me, it was truly an example of that walk being a very difficult walk with choices. That night was all about choices from beginning to end,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And every time you made a turn, it had consequences left or right,
Yeah. I mean, and that,
including the main antagonist in the
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
who started off with the wrong choice
Right.
and was trying to get back
right.
to being in good graces.
And the first
through
people
him.
too that let him in
Right.
because he was white.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was running from Native Americans.
Right. And didn't listen to the Native
Yeah.
Americans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything was choice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wild too when they when Haley Steinfeld went outside to go sit with them, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'll listen to your song," but she really didn't want to listen. Like, remember I think she looked,
knew at that point.
Yeah.
It was the wrong choice.
because she looked at them and she saw them drooling,
Yeah.
and then she was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And she turns around to go leave,
Yeah.
and then they're like, "Oh," and then she looks back and they're like normal, and they're like, "Oh, just
Yeah.
sit with us and listen to
Yeah.
us sing." And she knew at that moment she should have left.
Yes. Because they still needed to be invited.
Yeah. And as soon as she made the decision
yeah.
to sit down, okay,
Mhm.
that's when they got
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think movies like that, where every action you make has a consequence, and
Mhm.
it's shown because when they're not scared to turn the characters into vampires, so
Right.
they're essentially dying in that
Yeah.
way. I think people who don't often watch TV shows or movies that are like that
Mhm.
can really tune them up to that kind of thing. But I think those are the best kind of movies and TV
Yeah.
shows
Yeah.
when you can feel that
The
there's actual
vulnerability and the morality.
everyone's not invincible, everyone's not
And
immortal.
everybody's subject. Yeah.
The best movies and shows are where you can feel that your character is in actual danger,
Right.
and you care more about their actions because you know that there are direct consequences of them, and those consequences could be dire.
Yeah. No one's immune. You were gonna say?
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement. I mean, I feel like for me personally, it didn't make me shape. It didn't change the way I see consequences, but it changed the way that I approach those temptations.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It should change the way that you see. Like you should be able to see it with a clear eye view
Yeah.
and be able to be like, oh, okay, I do have a choice here.
Yeah.
Like I can choose not to do this.
Yeah.
And many times with our vices and things that we've been so attached to since childhood, we feel like we have to.
Yeah.
We feel like it's the only way to soothe this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have our choices. We are like we get to make that choice.
Yeah.
And I think that we should all realize that and use that more. Use that
Yeah.
autonomy more.
Yeah. So yeah, since this is what your mama didn't tell you, what did I not tell you or teach you that maybe you picked up from the movie?
I don't know. I guess I'll just go with like the effect that music can have on binding a culture together and connecting you to your ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess you did show us that in certain ways. Like you showed us songs like from Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think all those lessons are things that are taught in the Black community
Mm-hmm.
and handed down pretty consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you're often taught about like older R&B singer or older pop singers in the Black community and how they trailblaze for these new age artists. And you're often taught to not let bad things into your space if you can't avoid it. Yeah, I think it was just like it was sort of like this is what we teach our kids kind of thing. Like these are the important lessons that help the Black community raise their children.
Yeah,
so
confirmation.
I don't think there's anything new.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the only thing that I didn't really get was like understanding your desires and your temptations as something that like you have choice in. Like that's just not something we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think most families talk about it, and I think you should talk about it with your children or talk about it with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about how your temptations are real things, and we're not gonna act like you shouldn't have them or you don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
But to choose to make a decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to understand the effects that your decision will have in the long term, right? Because every time you make a little one, you may be like, oh, okay, nothing happened, cool. But you will get to a point, and you can trust me or not, and each his own. But
yeah, no, I think that's a good point because I think normally we tell our children what not to do,
right,
but we don't describe, right, how
detrimental it can be to you.
Yeah, not even that, but how pleasing temptations can really be, right? Or how close to your heart they can really be, right? That make you hard. It's hard to even discern that it's temptation. So I would say discerning temptation, right? We say, yeah, don't lie, don't steal, don't whatever, all these things, right? Because it'll lead to bad things. But the nuance of how temptation can sometimes be so beautiful and attractive and alluring, and still being able to discern it under those circumstances. I don't know that we get into it to that depth, right?
I don't think we do in our community.
Yeah, I don't think we do. And I think this movie did a great job of illustrating how close to your heart temptation can be, and how like your love for a person can literally, lead you down that path that could lead to really detrimental things, right? Or your love for a passion, right? In his case, right? So that kind of discernment to that degree, I don't know that we always get into that depth and from a conversation perspective. I think the other thing that after having watched that movie, I'm just going to research more is kind of the Asian, I shouldn't just say Chinese, but the Asian Black experience as jointly, right? Like what really was it, right?
Yeah.
Like they seem really comfortable in that environment, and they seem very comfortable moving between the Caucasian and the Black, populations, and serving both of them. But culturally they showed them in the Black setting, right? Socially.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to just understand more about that, because I don't know as much about it. I know that, Asians do go to Africa and they live and they, blend in and whatever. But here in America, I don't really know historically, right, what's really happened beyond what we think we know, which is they own, a lot
Some
of stuff.
stuff, yeah.
But really the layer under that, I'm a little curious to learn more about myself, because I thought that was a great angle that they interjected. And it just makes me want to learn more.
Here's part 1 of a personal experience Racheal lived with her family, showing how quickly our choices can change the course of our lives, often faster than we expect. Catch the rest in next week's episode.
Hello. I was asked to reflect on a time in my life when things went from left to really, really right, or the opposite direction, super quickly. And what came to mind is a boating trip, a family boating trip to Lake George. It was a beautiful day like today, not a cloud in the sky, crystal blue waters, very calm, like perfect weather, right? And we knew we wanted to go to this place at Lake George called Byron Bay. At that place, you can cheat and you don't have to go through the entire process of anchoring. And you can they have these anchors that are already cemented at the bottom of the lake. Lines come up, there's a buoy on the top. You kind of put your rope through that, tie it up, and you're done. It's super quick. So people get there early because the buoys get taken up in no time, because everybody's trying to avoid the work of anchoring. So we got up early that morning. We got our sandwiches together. We had our drinks packed. Everybody was in the boat, I think, by like 8:30 in the morning. We were on the water by no later than 8:45, 9 o'clock. So, of course, we jumped in. We got a great spot, tied up, and the day began absolutely fabulously. We were in the water. The water was warm, lots of swimming, a lot of dancing, music blasting from the boat, kids dancing, and everything in between. Well, as we're there, we're having a great time. We're meeting other boaters who are also tied up and just having a blast. A guy who was boating with us said to me, "Hey, I think I just heard something on the weather app we probably should pay attention to." Well, I was like, "What is it?" He said, "Well, I'm hearing on the weather app." I think he had like one of those radio weather things or whatever. I don't have one. I didn't have one. I barely listen to the weather, even as a boater. Well, and I kind of do boating season, but still not as good as most people. And he said, there's going to be a storm. And they said it's coming quickly and it's kind of fast moving. And I was like, yeah, how could that be? I'm looking out like today. It's absolutely gorgeous. That makes absolutely no sense. And he's just like, yeah, but that's what I heard. I'm packing up. I'm going to head out because I don't want to get caught in it. I shook my head. I said, okay. But I actually had no plans on doing what he was doing. Because, people hear that all the time. You lose your great spot. Somebody else comes and takes it. And then you got to go anchor somewhere else for the rest of the day. I wasn't going to do that. So I heard him and I saw him go to his boat, start to pack up, get his line up and whatever. And I was just like, eh. Fast forward maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, I look in the distance and I see a gray cloud coming this way. And I was like, maybe there was some sense to what he was saying. I look around and I start to see what people are doing. Sure enough, folks are starting to get their stuff together and leave. And I'm like, oh, maybe we should listen. So I start to tell everybody we need to get in now. 5 children under 12 in the water having fun. Adults who've had a drink or two to boot. And everybody out there socializing is not something you corral quickly. Most people know if you're trying to get your boat out, it could take at least 15 minutes, and that's quick to get everybody in the same direction and going where you got to go. So that was the task at hand. I think we accomplished it in 15 minutes. It might have been longer. 10 minutes would have been optimal, but that was not going to happen.
Stay tuned for next week's episode to find out what happened with Racheal's boating experience. This is a life lesson you don't want to miss. Next week on What Your Mama Didn't Tell Ya.
Do you think temptations show up when you're feeling strong or when you're feeling weak?